All right, Mrs. B, here we go. This is it, the final part of the project, the genogram. So you have a copy of this. Actually, you have a copy of it that does not indicate the relationships uh, because I submitted the wrong one. Typical Damon. Now you also have a copy that indicates the relationships. There's a key on the bottom, which CD stands for chemical dependency, MH mental health. The /R is recovery. Then we have the arrow, the line with green arrows through it, which indicates domestic violence. The tilted hash through the line, which indicates known infidelity. And then the straight line that's barred on either side and not connected in the middle, indicating distant or poor relationships. So, starting with my grandmother, Marietta Ellis. She was 54 years old when she died in 1985. I know she was born in the late 20s or early 30s. And she married my grandfather, who I never met. His name was John, also known as Jack White. He was around 37 when he died in 1960. But prior to that, he was married to my grandmother from 1950 to around 1955. And then my grandmother also had a significant relationship with a man who no one can remember other than by his last name, which was Spain. Again, a relationship that had known infidelity. Then my grandmother had her final significant other in her life. His name was Fraser Duncan, chemical dependency. He was also an alcoholic. And I don't know how old he was, and I don't know if he's still alive today. I would doubt it, but that relationship was also marred by domestic abuse. Likely his alcoholism contributed to that. Now, if we get back to the genogram as far as my family. So my mother has an Irish twin. He was born first. His name is Earl. He's 69 years old. In fact, about to be 70 because his birthday's in August. I think it's August 5th, but I don't know. For sure, I'd have to check Facebook, but I didn't do that because I'm trying to be quick here. So his first significant other relationship was with my Aunt Marianne. Don't know her name. I know that she was a little bit older than him and that she gave birth to his first child, Earl Jr. I also know that his relationship with her was marred by both domestic violence and also known infidelity. You can see there's a CD there. He is chemically dependent on alcohol and cocaine and abuses other drugs. Now, we move on to my mother. Oh, I'm sorry. And he had his other children by his wife, Elaine, who he's divorced from, who he married in 1987. Well over 10 years after they had their first child. And they divorced in 2000. My cousin Justin and my cousin Corey. Now, we get to my mother, and she passed away in 2016. She was 64 years old. She struggled with mental health issues. She also was a drug abuser, but not in the vein that my uncle and father figures were. So, my mother was married to Theodore Franklin, who coincidentally died in 2017 at the age of 68. Their relationship was marred by known infidelity as well as his chemical dependence. He was a cocaine addict and abused other drugs. They were married in 1970 and divorced in 1977. That relationship gave them 3 children: my older sister Imani, my brother Aaron, and myself. Today, ages 50, 49, and 44 respectively. My brother Aaron struggles with mental health issues, and I have a CD/R, which means I'm in recovery from chemical dependence. I also have mental health issues, don't tell anyone. Psst. So, after they were divorced, my mother remarried to a man named Jeffrey Brown. He struggled with chemical dependence, alcoholism, and abused other substances. They married in 1987, and they were married until she passed away. Now, if we go to my mother's baby brother, his name was William White. He died at around age 40 in 1994. As you see, there's a CD there. He was chemically dependent on heroin. He married Teresa Webb, who is approximately 66 years old today. They had 2 children. Their relationship was marred by both known infidelity and domestic violence. They married in 1974, and they were married until he died in 1994. And their 2 children were William Jr. and Crystal. Now, if you look on the bottom, if you look at the relationships here between my uncle and mother and her brothers, they were all distant and poor. Which, if you look down to the relationship between my cousins and I, all of those relationships were poor. So that's the explanation of my genogram. The paper I wrote with it has a little more information. I thank you for challenging me to face an aspect of my life that I really don't feel comfortable with. Once again, it was a pleasure having you, Mrs. B. And thank you for putting up with me. You know what I mean. And can't wait to see you in class on Wednesday. Thanks.